Good morning and welcome to another edition of the Friday FARcast. It's Robert Phoenix. Still working on the dynamics here, getting things launched on Spreaker. So I'm going to be doing a little bit of multitasking. So that folks out there actually know that I'm doing this and trying to figure this stuff out. Let me do this. Boom. At the very least, I'll get my my Facebook peeps in on the conversation. So just to remind people, I'm doing everything in my power to hit my consistency marks. You can listen to me do the 15 minutes of flame version of this experience Monday through Thursday, 9 a.m. Central Standard Time on Spreaker. Okay. Friday, it's the Friday FARcast here in Spreaker. It is not a 30-minute show. It's actually about a 90-minute show. And I'll get some more guests on soon. I'm just integrating this new platform and new format. Anyway, welcome to the Friday FARcast. As let me turn up the volume here, turn the gain down a little bit. There we go. I think that should be about right. A lot of people say I need to make this louder. Let me just do this. How's that? I like this one. Just messing around with my my presets here. So today on the Friday FARcast, we're going to go down some rabbit holes, and we're going to get into some truth. That's today's topic. The topic of the day. It's St. Patrick's Day, and I want to give a shout out to all my Irish homies out there. That's right. I got Irish on two sides of my matrilineal line, straight from the Emerald Isle. So I can claim the green. It's in me. They say that the Irish are really good at talking, and they're full of blarney. I wonder if that's translated over into this life. It might. When I was a kid, I used to try to talk my way out of everything. Sometimes it worked. Sometimes it failed miserably, and the results were disastrous. But anyway, I hope that I'm putting my talking to good use now, and that people can. I want to go back to this preset. Come on, here we go. I like this one. Oh yeah, this gives me that very white voice. Never gonna give you up. Never gonna give you up. Oh, the Cardinal's back. Beautiful Cardinal Day. You know, it's really fascinating. Since I moved my my studio into my brand new office, I've got a view of birds that it's unparalleled. So I'm watching the avian activity fairly consistently here, and it's tremendous. You know, the variety of the birds, even in this semi-rural, semi-suburban location, is really pretty spectacular. And I've actually been watching two buzzards begin to mate and nest. Two buzzards. They're about at a 180-degree angle from me, kind of across the way. I've been seeing them fly around right around a certain time, and I know where their nest is. It's up on top of the apartment building across from me, because I see them go there all the time. Could you imagine? Could you imagine eating buzzard eggs for breakfast? What would that be like? Yee. I'm not sure I'd want them based on their diet. That is not a grass-fed diet. You're not going to find that at Whole Foods, are you? Buzzard eggs raised on a carry-on diet. That's not happening. I'm a big egg guy. I've always liked eggs. Anyway, happy St. Patrick's Day. This is, you know what's funny about St. Patrick's Day? It is the one day of the year that is even vaguely associated with Northern Europeans and quote unquote white people, right? I mean, it's the only day. It's like our good friends in the African American community get a whole month. They get, Black History Month. We get a day. We get St. Patrick's Day. And what is associated with St. Patrick's Day? Getting obliterated. So the one day that we can kind of say, oh yeah, it's kind of our day. Let's get wasted. It's like it's a weird mind fuck is what it is. I'm not going to lie to you. It's hard being a white person in the 21st century. Unless it's hard to be a white male, it's hard to be a 50-year-old plus white male in the 21st century. Try that on for size. And I have to, do a check sometimes. It's like, well, I'm a universal being. I transcend this skin. I transcend this bone. I am not my earth suit. This is my body in this lifetime, though. This is my sex in this lifetime. This is my identity in this lifetime. And so we participate through that lens and that frame. And this is how we are in the world, but not of it. And so, unfortunately, because I have Jupiter and Sagittarius in my chart, conjunct the galactic center, I have been on a perverse quest for truth most of my life. Now, it got a little screwed up in the 70s and the 80s, mostly in the 70s when Neptune and Sagittarius was on my ascendant. And I decided that I could find truth in psychedelics. That was my truth. But even then, I was trying to get to something. It was the programming really helped because I was very into Timothy Leary at that time. Oh yeah, he's got the answers. They've got the drugs. Let me try them out. I had a lot of wonderful experiences on LSD, though. I'll be straight up. Maybe too many wonderful. That was my mind candy of choice. Whenever it was around, I was taking my cosmic passport out of my back pocket. But it's funny, now that I'm in this body and I've got this identity, but I see what's going on. I see what's happening. I see identity politics, which have been just completely awful. And on some level, right, it doesn't matter. I mean, none of it matters. Absolutely none of it matters. When you get into the spiritually distilled part, it doesn't matter. But here we are, we're in this world, and it does matter. Because we're playing for, at least in this domain, some form of what they call keeps, right? You tell somebody that's lost somebody that it doesn't matter, and they'll slap you in the face. That's really, to get to a point where you can simply say, well, such is life, such is existence, ashes to ashes, dust to dust, go to God, to get to that point, come on, you've either got to be completely emotionally shut down and robotic, or you're just an incredibly high being. I could probably count those people on half of my hand. The world, by the way, is not organized and run by incredibly high beings. The world is organized and run by criminals. It's inverse. That's a truth. You can take that to the bank and cash it. Better hurry up before the banks close, before the banks shut down. But I see what's happening, and it's troubling. And I'll tell you why it's troubling. I've got a 13-year-old boy who happens to be white, Northern European extraction, and I see what the world is trying to do to him. The world is trying to emasculate him. The world is trying to ply him with guilt and recrimination, even though he's too young at this point to kind of fully buy into the program. But that program is sitting there waiting for him. And I can see it already kind of taking shape and form in his public schooling. And so I have to take a stand. If I did not have a young man in my life, I'd probably, well, I might take a stand. It might be even a more dangerous stand, to be honest with you. But I have to, because I can't let it abide. This dude does not abide with the program. But that doesn't mean that I am going to buy into other people suffering at the expense of another person or group. I do not condone that at all, whatsoever. And I think that the inverse should apply as well. So this is part of the Day of Truth. Today's the Day of Truth on Free Association Radio, the Friday FARcast with me, Robert Phoenix. Let's kind of examine this from an astrological perspective. We have Saturn in Sagittarius, and it will go back to 21 degrees retrograde, but it's hanging out right now for 3 months on the galactic center. And it's right on my natal Jupiter in Sagittarius in my first house. So, I am, I guess, a recipient of this wonderful blessing where we've got to speak truth to power. And I've done it over the last 24 hours on Facebook. So we have Saturn in Sagittarius until December, roughly, of this year, and then it goes into Capricorn. Now, if we go back in time and look at Saturn in Scorpio, prior to Saturn in Sagittarius, right when Saturn was in Libra, I started to do forecasts for Saturn in Scorpio, and one of the things that I talked about was child abuse, molestation, and sort of the dark underbelly that was going to be exposed. And sure enough, right on time, it happened. It happened. Started with Jerry Sandusky, right on time, and followed up by Jimmy Savile. And we've been dealing with that arc because Saturn in Scorpio was a really pivotal station for Saturn, or pivotal transit for Saturn, because it gets into the underworld. It gets into that grimy place where things are locked away and they're dark and they're shadowy. And Saturn goes in and takes a crowbar and says, we're going to get into this place. We're going to expurgate what's down there. And the way astrology works is that now that we have Saturn in Sagittarius, laws kick in. Laws kick in, because that's the nature of Sagittarius. And we've been seeing, if you haven't been paying attention, there have been a lot of arrests of kind of low-level trafficking and pedophilia criminals. Now, I believe, and I hope that my belief is correct, I believe that what they're doing is they're amassing evidence, because they have the hard drives, right? They have the Wienergate files, which are known as insurance. They have all that. But I think what they want is they want people to talk. They want to expose this at as many levels as possible. At least that's my hope. And not that it's not just some kind of superficial window dressing. And I think it's not, because if it was, it would be publicized more. And we would get the sense that it was being taken care of. But because it's not being publicized more, that intrigues me. It feels to me like something is going on, that they're working on something bigger, much bigger. Now remember, this year, the true node goes into Leo, which is children. So there's a big emphasis on children, Leo, in coming soon to a Matrix theater near you. That's my co-host.